It's time to predict the playoff. I've talked about conference winners. In fact, I have predicted all of the conferences. Like, I got Penn State over Oregon in the Big Ten championship game. I got Bama over Texas in the SEC championship game. I'm taking Clemson over Georgia Tech. Surprise inclusion there in the ACC championship game. And give me Arizona State over Texas Tech, repeat champ there in the Big 12. Now, just off of that, here are the questions I'm asking myself. Where do Oregon and Texas end up? The Big Ten title game loser, the SEC title game loser. Because remember, the playoff's different this year. So the playoff last year was the top 4 seeds had to go to conference champs, and it was really jacked up, and it messed the bracket up. Well, that rule is gone now. So we could have Texas, go into conference championship Saturday number 1 in the country, and they lose to Bama, and they fall to like 3. Oregon could go in number 2 and they could lose to Penn State and fall to 4. And my point is, we could go into the playoffs and the number 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think this would have been the case last year, right, Jesse? They would just be SEC and Big Ten teams, which would piss everyone off, but it would be competitively right if that were to happen that way. Well, that's the first thing I'm asking myself. The second thing I'm asking myself, ACC, are you getting 2 teams in? The Big 12, are you getting 2 teams in? Like, does Texas Tech still make it in like SMU was able to do in the ACC last year? Does Georgia Tech make it in? Could you have a Miami that's sitting there at like 10-2, and they're not in the conference title game, but they're looking to be an at-large? Don't know. That's what I'm asking myself. Where's Notre Dame? It's always assumed Notre Dame, if they go 10-2, they're in. I believe that. Did they go 10-2 or better? Got a lot of really tricky games at the beginning of the year for a team that doesn't have a starting quarterback announced yet. And then the evergreen question in this format is, what's the landscape relative to the SEC 9-3 teams? Last year, no 3-loss team got in. People, for some reason, took that as forever gospel that no 3-loss team will ever get in. I guarantee you a 3-loss team, even if we were to keep the playoff at 12, would eventually get in. If Florida's 9-3, they're getting in. If Oklahoma's 9-3, they're getting in. Those 2 with those schedules are getting in. If it's like Georgia or Alabama that's 9-3, if South Carolina's 9-3, Ole Miss, we'll see. The seeding projections, I waste no more time here. This is how I see the playoff playing out 1 through 12. I got Penn State winning the Big Ten. I've got them as the number 1 overall seed. I got Alabama winning the SEC, number 2 overall seed. Bama beats Texas in Atlanta. Texas drops no further than 3. Oregon loses to Penn State. They only drop to number 4. Clemson, your ACC champ, I've got at number 5. I got Notre Dame right there at 6. Ohio State, very competitive in the Big Ten this year. I think they're a 7 seed. I have the Florida Gators making the playoff as an 8 seed. I'm very high on them. I've got Georgia right there as the 9 seed. That probably flips based on how that head-to-head turns out. Arizona State as your Big 12 champ, I've got as the 10 seed. Allow me to clear my voice. As the biggest Nebraska Cornhusker supporter in the entire city of Nashville, Tennessee, bar none, I've got Nebraska making the playoff at number 11. And then I've got Boise in the playoff as the G5 representative at number 12. How would this look, you might ask, in bracket form? We'll get back to the video 1 second. Do me one quick favor. Look down. Make sure you're subscribed. Most of you are. If you're not, please do so. It's the way we keep the channel free, we keep the videos coming, and we get to do college football year-round as God intended. All right, as promised, back to the video. Well, it's interesting because of what the first-round matchups would be. If that is the bracket, and I have little reason to doubt that it will be, this is very, very non-controversial, as we all know, we would have Georgia going to Gainesville, Florida to play a playoff game in the first round. So there's that. They won't give me that game on campus for the regular season version. Even in years where Jacksonville Stadium is being renovated, they're playing it at a neutral site. It's insane. Well, I am forcing them to play the Georgia-Florida game in either Athens or Gainesville because I'm going to put it in the first round of the playoff. I got Clemson hosting Boise State in round 1. I have got Ohio State hosting Arizona State in round 1, and I've got Nebraska going to Notre Dame. So cold weather on the road to play cold weather. And I know if you're listening on podcast, you can't see this, but I don't love the spot that the 1 seed is in yet again. This year it's Penn State, and they get their bye. They would be awaiting what is going to be a red-hot Florida or a red-hot Georgia that probably lost some games in the regular season, but then got their act together late. That's how they made the playoff. And it's strikingly similar like to what Ohio State was last year. And Penn State is awaiting the winner of Georgia versus Florida. Oregon sits there in a much better situation. They get probably Clemson, but just think about this. Let me just say this out loud for the podcast crowd. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this. Look at the potential second round now that we fixed the seeding and it's not jacked up where Boise's got a 3 seed and Arizona State's got a 4 seed. Why? Just because they won a conference. No. If we're going straight seeding, do you understand our second round could be Georgia versus Penn State, Clemson versus Oregon, Texas versus Notre Dame, and Alabama versus Ohio State? Has there ever been a better postseason week ever? I don't think so. I'm including the NFL there, by the way. That would be utter insanity. So, I don't know that I want to hear arguments, but I'm sure there will be arguments. If anybody thinks it's wrong, it's an opinion. But if you still think it's wrong, I want you to make sure you tell me it's an idiotic take, and that's fine, and say the bracket's wrong and whatnot. Make sure you give me your predictions. Don't tell me it's wrong. Too many grown men are using the laughing emojis. Too many grown men are making their arguments with emojis. It's a critical problem that we as a society have to tackle this college football season. Use your big boy words, not in all caps either. Type it out, run it through spell check, and tell me your 1 through 12 so that we can go back and compare in December. That's how I see the playoff playing out.